This film will guide you through the usage of articles in the English language. First up is the indefinite articles, which is either or un, depending on the spelling of the noun. Is used in front of nouns that start with a consonant sound. For example, a chair, a map, a knife, a big orange, a half-brother. And un is used with as one in front of nouns that start with a vowel sound. It is important to note that it is the pronunciation of the word that defines the article and not the spelling. For example, even though a European is spelled with an E, you have a J sound, which is a consonant sound, and therefore you should have the indefinite article a. The indefinite article a is used with countable nouns. In most cases, this is the same as in Swedish. For example, she needs an exercise book. And the indefinite article is not used with uncountable nouns. If you want to use something with that, then you should use some. I need some advice. The indefinite article and un is also used with professions, political views, nationalities, religion. In Swedish, however, there is no article used when talking about these things. The zero article or the indefinite article, while Swedish sometimes uses zero article, that means no article at all, English usually uses indefinite articles with countable nouns. For example, yesterday I got a letter from Amy, but in Swedish we have it without the article. Igår fick jag brev från Amy. You should see a doctor. Du borde söka läkare. We have bought a dog. Vi har skaffat hund. Indefinite article is also used in many expressions such as it's a pity, tell a lie, have a right, take a seat, to have a headache, one at a time, as a rule, in a loud voice, at a distance, for a change, in an emergency. The definite article the is used when you talk about a specific reference, a specific thing or a specific person. For example, the shop is closed, or the twins fell in love with the same girl. Definite articles is used when there's an adjective in front of the noun. For example, she's the best friend I've ever had. The definite article is also used when there's an of adjunct after the noun or a name, who is the owner of the house. Or you learn a lot about the England of Shakespeare's time by seeing his plays. There are also some expressions that take the definite article. For example, on the phone, on the radio, go to the theater or cinema, or the internet. Zero article, meaning no article at all, is used when you're talking about no specific thing or person. She was hoping to find love, but she found the wrong guy, for example. There are some certain names with definite articles, and these you just have to learn. Usually when we talk about names in plural, people, islands, and mountains, such as the Barkers, the Alps, the West Indies, the Rocky Mountains, the Canaries, the Great Lakes, the Alps, the Midlands, but some without, Kensington Gardens and Niagara Falls, for example. When you have an of adjunct in as a part of the name, you should also use definite article. The Isle of Wight, the House of Commons, the University of London. Sometimes you can omit the of adjunct, but it's still there implicit. The City of London, but you don't say of London. The East End or the Tower. Some names of rivers, oceans, channels, and deserts that take the definite article: the Yellow River, the Thames, the Baltic Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Pacific Ocean. A note to Swedish translation. You have the hotels, restaurants, pubs, theaters, clubs, and museums that often take the definite articles. For example, the Sheraton, the Carlton Club, and the Sydney Opera House. Many newspapers and magazines also take the definite article. The Miami Herald, The Sun, the Daily Telegraph, the New York Times, the Observer. But remember, Time, Newsweek, and USA Today do not take the article. Some other occasions that use definite article is the Middle East, the White House, the Australian Outback, the Grand Canyon, and the North Cape. Remember to always use the definite article when you talk about these. You also use the definite articles when you talk about abbreviations when the original name has definite articles, such as the UK, which is abbreviated from the United Kingdom, the UN, the EU, the IRA, the FBI, the BBC. However, when the original name lacks an article, you don't use it in the abbreviation either, such as IBM. You have certain names that have without the article, especially continents, countries, states, cities, and parts of cities and islands. For example, South America, Australia, Nevada, Manhattan, Brussels, Munich, Chinatown, Easter Island, but The Hague and the Bronx. Remember that when you add an adjective, no article is added, as in ancient Greece, central Manhattan, or medieval France, for example. Public buildings and places, squares, bridges, parks, and streets that are not used for entertainment are usually without the article. For example, Piccadilly Circus, Westminster Abbey, Leicester Square, Red Square, Tower Bridge, Heathrow Airport, Victoria Station, Central Park. But then you have some that actually do take the article, and then you have to remember always to use the article with these places, as in the Kremlin, the Vatican, the Pentagon, and the White House. Lakes and mountaintops are usually without article, as in Lake Windermere, Bear Lake, Lake Michigan, Loch Lomond, and Mount Everest. Zero article, meaning no article at all, is used with personal names, also when you have a title, as in Miss Dalby, Lord Peter Wimsey, or Pope John. Holidays, months, and days of the week. Easter, Christmas, Good Friday, June, next Tuesday. However, when you talk about a specific holiday, you have to have the article, the Christmas of 1991, for example. If the name has an apostrophe genitive in it, there is also zero article, as in Claridge's Hotel, Sloppy Joe's Bar, and Today's Times. Now we're going to talk about Swedish it. Det in Swedish is usually it in English. Used in the same way. It wasn't necessary to shout at me, it will be fine tomorrow. However, if you want to emphasize the word, you should use the word that. Remember also the VATT rule. It is used in weather, distance, time, and temperature. VATT's meaning in Swedish then. The weather, it's snowing like crazy. But when you talk about a storm, you have to use there is a storm coming. Distance, it's a long way to Tipperary. Time, it's 2 o'clock. And temperature, it's 50 degrees, and the temperature just keeps on rising. You use this and there are if you want to talk about location. In Swedish, you usually can remove the word for it. There is a gas station near here, or there was a war on. There are 2 apples left, or there were many guests present. He, she, they, so, and nor. If you can transfer it to he, she, they, obviously you need to use those pronouns instead. Note that there's a difference between Swedish and English. In Swedish we would say känner du Sara, and in Swedish we would answer yes, ja, det gör jag. But in English, it is, do you know Sarah? Yes, she is very nice. Then you use the personal pronoun instead. So is used after certain verbs as believe, hope, guess, suppose, and think, to name a few. Nor is used as in det heller. Claes did not show up yesterday, nor did Elizabeth. So is used as in Swedish, after some verbs, think, believe, hope, suppose, guess. I believe so. In Swedish then we translate it into det. in the beginning of a phrase, meaning that to. She said she would do it, and so she did. That is used when you want to emphasize something. You must remember that. And there are some occurrences there where English doesn't have an equivalent to it in Swedish. Oops, I have to go back. And that's when you answer a question that has a extra verb in it. Do you know Harry? Yes, I do. For example. You could also, and you also need to remember that tell has so as an object. I told you so. Sometimes it's necessary to rephrase the sentence completely. For example, in Swedish we would say det är slut på mjölken, but in English we will have to start with the personal pronoun and change the word order into with or out of milk, or the doorbell rang just now, or how was Los Angeles? And I like strawberries. And if you compare the Swedish translation, you see that in Swedish we have the word it in it, but we don't in English. Now, take a few moments to translate these sentences. You can pause the film, and when you're finished with the sentences, you can look at the last picture, which have the answers.